So I got quite a few questions after the class about what is in the class, what is this about. So I wanted to just come live and talk a little bit. So a couple questions I keep getting are as follows. So I'm just kind of going right straight through them, and then I am going to share my screen in just a little bit. But the first one I wanted to ask was, like, what if I'm short on time, right? Like, I have a job, I'm struggling, but I really have this big goal I want to do, and I just can't ride day in and day out. It feels like I can't get enough hours. And so, specifically, I think if you're short on time, you definitely need to hire a cycling coach and get inside this program, because we specifically focus on trainings that are less than an hour for the most part during the weekdays, so an hour or less. And then on the weekends, it really depends. We meet you where you're at, right? If you're already doing 4 and 5 hour rides, then we'll meet you where you're at. If you're just starting to do long rides, then we might start with an hour or an hour and a half for a long ride, right? So another question I get all the time is, how is this plan different from like a TrainingPeaks plan or another plan I found on the internet? And like, why should I sign up? So I have lots of thoughts on that. But for the most part, we are the only program that is catering specifically and writing programs specifically for success for women over 40, right? For peri and postmenopausal athletes. So there's a lot of coaches out there that are writing basic training schedules for people who follow the traditional tried and true training programs, right? Now, if you were in masterclass, you learned all about how those are primarily based on science that was written about men, specifically young active male athletes, right? And we are not young active male athletes. We have different needs, therefore we have different trainings that were going to help us. And if you watched earlier today, we really focused when we were talking with Margaret on how strength training actually helped her ride longer, more comfortably, and more efficiently. So whereas most traditional training plans are focusing on riding longer, getting stronger, go ride yourself into a pulp, push, 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 we are focusing on strength training and ballistic strength training to help keep your muscles strong and strong muscle contractions so that you can ride longer day after day after day with more energy. So again, all of our plans are specifically created so we meet your needs so that we focus on the right training at the right time. We focus on keeping muscle around as long as possible. And that's a twofold factor of making sure you have the right food at the right time, right? And it's harder for us to gain muscle and because estrogen has left the building. So we actually really focus on strength training in order to keep rebuilding muscle. That strength training is the trigger for getting stronger. I know that sounds dumb, but yes, you actually have to break down that muscle to get it to be stronger. So our regular strength training happens 2 to 3 times per week, as well as sometimes on the weekends we have some longer strength-based riding, right? So you're doing strength training on the bike. But a couple of things that are startling. One is that for most sports studies, especially anything done before 1986, they almost included no women. In 1986, the National Institute of Health said, hey, if you're getting money from the National Institute of Health to, I don't know, run studies on sports, you need to include women. Like, they had to mandate it because there were no women being included. And now in 2022, only about 6% of all sports studies are focused exclusively on women, which, if you put that the other way, 94% are men or male with some female subjects. So we're still fighting an uphill battle here, but we're actually finding what works. So I'm taking the science from the papers that are published, from different research articles of people actually studying women like us, and we're putting it into action. That's why we're different. All right. I also get that question of, well, how many athletes are in this? We're a pretty intimate group, anywhere between 5 and 10 people at a time, and we're always enrolling at the beginning of each month. So if you have a goal of an event in, let's say, 3 months, right now is the important time to get in and get started, right? So we have anywhere between 5 and 10, and that allows us to stay really high touch with you. We can connect with you after your trainings through email, and if you have questions other times, you can I prefer if people reach out over Voxer, which is a voice messaging app, because email can get lost in the shuffle sometimes. So let's see, other questions. If you have any questions, if you're watching this and you have questions, drop them down below. I was going to add another question. So I already have a trip or an event planned. Is this going to work with my trip? So yes, two things. One, most people who we're working with, they're not racers. They're people who do bike packing or multi-day trips, and we're concerned about being able to be strong enough to do the trip. And so I love that you have that trip planned because that is a big like urgent need, right? You have a specific date that you're leaving. So those are the needs that we want our clients to have. We want you to have a specific goal, event, a ride, a race, whatever it is that you're doing, because it's a date on the calendar. Like you can't just keep pushing that date down the road. It's actually happening. And then when you do that, we specifically work your training around that date. So I have other clients who are doing several dates, right, throughout their trainings. And so we make sure that if you're going on vacation or if you are going on a event in the middle of the training, that you don't lose any time. Okay, so I have lots of thoughts about vacation and training through vacation and such, but I want to make sure that you know that you're not losing time if you're going on an event or a trip in the middle of your training. So yeah, those are just a few questions. Let's see if I have a few more. What is expected of me in terms of tracking or recording? And so one thing that's great about our program is we use an online software called TrainingPeaks.com, and that serves as your kind of your training journal. So all of your training is delivered there, and it's emailed to you once a day. And that email includes today's workout and tomorrow's workout. So you always know exactly what to do and what to expect. After your training, I expect you to go back to that either on your desktop in trainingpeaks.com or the super convenient app on your phone, which is what I prefer to use myself. And type in what you did, type in how it went, type in any questions you have about the event. The more you communicate, the more you're going to get out of our program. People had questions about food. Do you provide vegan meals? Do you provide, are you only meat-based, et cetera, et cetera? First of all, I don't provide meal plans. So when we go through your custom fueling menu, we really rely on you and what you like already. So I'm not going to set you up on a meal plan. And also, this is not a weight loss plan. This is all about performance. And if you've been with me at any time so far, you know that I'm all about eating enough to make sure that your performance in strength training, off the bike, your performance on the bike, that you're fueling so that you keep that muscle on your body and that you are not in a deficit. Deficits make you really tired and they make you really, I don't know, like the word apathetic is a little bit maybe too much, but when people are operating in a deficit, they generally or don't have enough energy to hit their cycling or strength training targets. And in my opinion, you're investing a lot of time and money into this program. I don't want you not to be able to hit your targets. So this is not a weight loss program. This is all about focusing on getting stronger. And in that question about stronger, I'm new to strength training. I only have like hand weights. What else do I need? So I provide a few guidance plans when you first enroll to give you an idea of what you want to start with. If you're not already strength training, we always start with body weight because it takes some time for your tendons and ligaments to be able to develop enough to actually hold higher and harder weights, right? So we'll start with body weight to make sure that you're using and to make sure that you're getting stronger with your ligaments and tendons, and that your muscles will also get stronger. But then also you're working on good form. Then you can add the weights. With weights, I recommend almost everything is written to be used with dumbbells. You could use barbells if you want, or even weight machines, though I prefer that you use dumbbells because you are then forcing your body to work in a functional way, right? We're not isolating a specific muscle like you might in a using a machine sort of way. So when you're new to strength training, we have videos you can follow specifically to make sure you're doing it right. If you only have a few hand weights, that's fine. What you'll want to do is start to accumulate some heavier weights. And you can do that on Facebook Marketplace or your local sports store. Even Target has weights. You don't have to have, a whole rack worth of weights. Personally, and I do a lot of strength training at home, so I have options from 5 pounds all the way up to 40 pounds. So you don't have to have every step, just have a couple available to you. And you can add more as you grow. I love that. So another one I get all the time is, will I be able to utilize my my indoor training, right? So my Peloton or Zwift are the big ones. Wahoo Kicker, Trainer Road, Sufferfest, for example. Can I use those while I'm doing your program? And an emphatic yes. We have so many women using their Peloton to get stronger and faster. And when we do that, you are kind of keeping to the spirit of the prescribed workout for that day, while I can suggest you go look for like a power zone, zone 4 or 5 ride, for example, or high intensity interval training with Tabatas. Those are just 2 examples of things you can do on Peloton. If you're using Zwift, our workout builder will pair directly with Zwift, so you can pull the workout right into your Zwift training platform, so you don't even have to guess. It just works exactly for you that way. Okay, I was gonna finish off with telling you a little bit more about the program. So I get a lot of questions like, well, what's inside the program? And so I'm gonna see if I can share my screen. I was able to do it earlier, but now I might have to do it in a different actual video. So thanks for your, let's see here, share. So my screen changed when I went on. So you know what? I'm going to have to share that in a different video. So I do apologize, y'all. But we'll talk about more what's inside. Thanks for visiting, though, our frequently asked questions here. And if you have more questions, just drop them below and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, y'all. I'll come back to talk with you more on Monday. On Monday, we're going to talk about cycling success system and like what's inside our Training Bold, what is inside for future Training Bold. We'll talk about fueling. We'll talk about